Welcome back to my channel. So my room is getting messy again. It's not really messy, it's just got piles of books everywhere. Which I guess is good because we are going on this journey where we are going through every book that I own. We are Marie Kondoing it. So Marie Kondo, a few years back, came out with this book, like the magic of tidying up or something. I'll try and link it here or show it right here. I haven't read the book, but essentially the concept is that you grab every item like by itself, you look at it, and you say, "Does Stay Awake by Megan Golding bring me joy?" And if it doesn't, then you unhaul it. You get rid of it. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue that process, but I have a keep pile, I have a no pile, and then I have a maybe. We're going to try to do this. I mean, I have books all here. I know you can't see them. You will later, I'm sure. But for right now, I'm just kind of stacking them up. And I have the books I'm getting rid of over here. My maybe pile over there. It's just a chaotic mess, but I mean, welcome to my channel. Also, remember, every time that I do one of these TBRs, please trash my TBR. Like, make it so that I don't want to read different books. Like, especially if you really hate a book for a reason, if you can tell me, I hate this book, and here's why, and the why is compelling enough, I might unhaul those too. But especially with the books that I say that I'm going to be keeping. So this one's going to be slightly different though, because I've read all the books on the shelf, and I've read the third shelf. The only ones that are still on my TBR are actually the fourth shelf, because the very bottom shelf, are the books that I've read in June. I'm not going to get rid of those until July, probably. Reconstructing Amelia by Kimberly McCree. Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't love this book. I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars, which is perfectly fine. It's a good book, but generally speaking, I only keep 5 stars on my shelves as my favorites. However, with this one, I like some of the commentary that it has. Like, was it the best book? No. I'm not even going to say it was, but you follow Kate, who is Amelia's mom, and she's a lawyer, and she gets a call from her daughter's, like, private school saying, "Hey, your daughter was caught cheating, please come pick her up. She's in a lot of trouble." So she goes there to pick up her daughter, who is now dead. And the school claims that it was a suicide. And Kate kind of investigates on her own to figure out what really happened to her daughter. And, like, the premise sounds really good. The execution was okay. But, oh my gosh. I don't know, because there is, like, this group discussion guide, and I think this would be really, really helpful. I don't know who I'm going to talk to about this, though, and the content, and maybe. I'll put it in the maybe pile, okay? And for right now, our maybe pile will just be right there, because I'm not going to throw my books on the ground. I mean, probably not. Okay, so we will put my little book thingy. What is that called? Bookend. Oh. Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Oh my gosh. To be honest with you, I did like this book a lot. However, I have other Christina Lauren books on my shelf that I would reread before I would reread this one. I'm not ready to give it up though. I'm going to keep it for right now. I'm going to keep it. The Replacement Wife by Darby Kane. Darby Kane has the possibility of being a new favorite author of mine, so I will be keeping the 2 books I've read by her. Oh, Bella! Oh my god. Hold on. Bella, are you okay, baby? Are you okay? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh man. My books fell on her. I'm going to get her comfortable somewhere else. So here, let me show you what happened. I put one book on there and then they all like tumbled down onto her. She was laying right here. Well, you probably can't see that. She was laying right here. So, oh my gosh. The thing about Bella is that she's getting older and she's losing her eyesight. So I think that just scared her a lot. Okay, so I guess a little doggo break. Because that scared me. And I know it scared Princess. Bella, baby, mama, all of those names. Jellybean's getting jealous that she's on camera though. And he's not. He's standing right over here just staring me down. He's like right here. He's just staring me down. Like, Mommy, what about me? But baby Bella needs us. Oh my gosh. I think it scared me more than it scared her, to be honest with you. It Ends with Us by Colleen Hoover. When I first read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, I did originally give it 4 or 5 stars. And I liked it a lot. But it didn't hit for me as much as the other Colleen Hoover that we are going to talk about a little bit later. This one follows Lily and her relationship with Atlas when she is in high school, as she is getting to know her new boyfriend, Ryle. And it flashes back to her high school days where her dad has like domestic violence issues, and it parallels to what she's going through right now with Ryle and how he is abusive just like her dad was. But this is not a romance. It's more of a chick lit. So please check all the trigger warnings if you are at all interested in this book. I'm gonna part with it. I'm gonna get rid of this one. Verity by Colleen Hoover. And originally when I read this, I really enjoyed it because it's like her thriller. But now that I've been sitting on it for a while, it's more of like a romantic suspense story. And it's not really my jam. So I think I actually have another copy of this that will be unhauled as well. So I'm going to keep my unhauls over here for right now, just because I don't want to keep doing that. Then we have All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I think this is the only Colleen Hoover that I'm going to be keeping right now. This is Quinn and Graham. So at the beginning of the book, Quinn and Graham both get cheated on with, like, Quinn's boyfriend cheats on her with Graham's girlfriend. And so they have that instant heartbreak type of thing. And then they kind of fall in love with each other. They've been married for like 7 years. And they are trying to have kids. But they are having problems having children, and it's kind of ruining their entire relationship because their communication is stopping, and it feels more like a chore to conceive a child. And then they both get very disappointed when that child does not get conceived. And it just feels like they're kind of walking on eggshells with each other. And this one actually hits really, really close to home. It was my worst fear going into my marriage because I've known my entire life that it's going to be near impossible for me to get pregnant and have kids because of health things that I've had in the past. And it really just hit so close to home. I mean, it hasn't really become a problem for me and my husband because we knew going into our relationship, even when I was like 17, 18, like I was just a child myself. And I was telling him, hey, you don't want to be with me. I can't have kids. And I know, like, we had been friends for a while, so I kind of knew that he talked about later in life being a dad and all this, you know, like, he wanted this family. And I knew that I couldn't give him that family. I mean, yeah, I could marry him, and that made one of my biggest dreams come true. But I couldn't provide those kids, like, not naturally. I mean, there's other options. There's, like, adoption, and there's things out there. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, going into our relationship, I knew it would be harder for me to have children. And, you know, it hasn't, you know, it's just, like, my worst fear was that it would ruin us. Knock on wood, because it hasn't yet. That was just a really long-winded way of saying I'm keeping that book. You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle. I really liked this. This is about these two fiancés, Naomi and Nicholas. Yeah, Naomi and Nicholas. And they don't really like each other anymore, but neither of them wants to pay for the wedding. So they're going through with the wedding, but this is kind of them being pretty much enemies, and they're just kind of learning to love themselves and love each other again, but in, like, such a funny way, because there's, like, this prank war aspect. It's not really a prank war, but it comes off as a prank war, and the banter in here is really cute, and it's just a really cute romance. I really like that one. Like I said, most of the books that I've read are probably going to stay, but I am proud because I have gotten rid of one so far. Two. I've gotten rid of two because that one I'm getting rid of. So my keep pile will be on the bottom, or on the second shelf. Okay, The Perfect Family by Robin Harding. This is the first Robin Harding book that I've ever read. It was so kindly sent to me by the publisher. And I enjoyed it a lot. It's actually my favorite Robin Harding so far. I've only read a couple though, so I will be keeping that one. Please hold for one moment. I will be right back. Sorry about that. We're going to try this again. So we have The Party by Lisa Hall. This one I'm going to keep. I really enjoyed this. I actually really want to read more Lisa Hall books. This reads more like a mystery. I know it's listed as a thriller on Goodreads, but I enjoyed this, like, slow burn, intense mystery. Drunk on Love by Jasmine Guillory. I really enjoyed this. This was really, really cute. And I just like Margaret and Luke together. They were so cute. But basically, Margaret and Luke have a one-night stand after they were both at a bar. And they go to work in the morning. It's Monday morning. and Margaret's brother had hired some help over the last week while she was out of town for work conference, and they own this like winery together. And then when Luke goes to work that day, he finds out that Margaret is actually the co-owner of the new job that he works. So that's like really cute between the two of them, because she's trying to like shut it down right away, and he wanted something more than a one night stand, but she's like, no, I'm your boss. That's weird. There's an age gap, but it's only like 5 or 6 years, so it's not really that big of a thing in my opinion, but you know, whatever, to each their own. But she kept trying to talk herself out of it, and then he's just like, well, I need you as my girlfriend. Well, he has to decide, does he want her as girlfriend or boss, because both isn't going to work. And it was just a fun time. Actually made me want to go back and read Jasmine Gullery's backlist. I have read The Wedding Date, which I really liked, and The Proposal, which I didn't like, and that's kind of why I stopped reading her books, but kind of put her back on the map for me. Stay Awake by Megan Golding I will be keeping. And there is Here and Gone by Halen Beck. I loved this book, so I will be keeping it. Okay, we are getting to the point. I think we have 2 adult books left, and then the rest are young adult, which I don't really read much, but I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll just do it one at a time and we'll see. There is P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern. Honestly, I just bought myself this copy recently because this was the first book that you guys, my viewers, recommended me. And I bought it right away, and then it sat on my shelf for a long time, and then I finally read it, and I was like, oh my god, this is so good. I do really think that the movie adaptation of P.S. I Love You is really good. So, both the movie and the book are amazing, but I did hear that Cecilia Ahern recently made a sequel to this. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because this reads like standalone. But part of me is intrigued to get my hands on it and try to read the second in the series. And that's why I bought this, so that I could reread this eventually, but it's going to break my heart. But I guess I'm going to keep it. Now, No Exit by Taylor Adams. Okay, this one's hard because I absolutely love this book, but I hate this edition. So you know what? I am going to unhaul this, mainly so that I can get like a big hardback. I couldn't find any other editions, so I ended up just keeping it. Edition, or a better edition, because I hate mass market paperback. And to be honest, if this is the edition that I have, I won't read the book again. I will find it on audiobook through my library. I think that's how I read it the first time. Then there's The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. This is one of my favorite slump books. Like, it'll get me out of a slump every single time. I've read this quite a few times. But everyone has that book, I feel like. And this is one of my top 3 that will almost always get me out of a reading slump, even though I know exactly what's going to happen, and it's like a young adult dystopian, which typically isn't what I read anymore. I think it's the nostalgia for me. Keeping that, so it goes over there. Okay, so some of you are going to be so mad, but I don't care. I have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, which is the first one. And I have As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, which is the third one. I do not have the second book because I don't like it. But I do like both of these. However, if I'm thinking about it, I would probably only reread A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. But for now, I'm going to keep both because I want to. And there's The Strangers by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I just read this. I loved this. And I actually want to continue on with this middle grade series. That's like parallel universes, a little magical, a little way outside my comfort zone because middle grade, parallel universes. Actually, sometimes parallel universes are fun. But, like, magic, I do want to finish this series, though, and I have one copy at school so my kids can read it. But this is going to be my copy. I talk a lot, I think. Then there's On the Fence by Casey West. This is honestly my favorite Casey West book. But, like, am I ever going to reread it? I don't know if I'm actually going to reread this one. On the Fence has been unhauled from my library. It is a really cute young adult romance, but I always feel weird when I'm reading about 16-year-olds. Like, yeah, okay, we're gonna unhaul this. We're gonna unhaul it. We're gonna unhaul it. We are going to unhaul it. Okay, there is 6 months later. One of my Natalie D. Richards books is missing. I'm going to keep 6 months later because I think it's my favorite Natalie D. Richards book. Then there's 5 Total Strangers, which is like this young adult thriller road trip type of book. And when I first read it, I loved it. I still would recommend it. I think I gave it 5 stars the first time I read it. Today, I don't think it would be a 5-star. I think it would be more like a 4-star for me, which is still great. But since I know the twist, I'm ready to give this one up. I don't see myself rereading it, and I had fun with it. I definitely recommend it. I'm just not in that point in my life anymore. No more young adult books, and this one just doesn't hold any nostalgia for me, so I can get rid of that one. Then there's Swimming Lessons Poems by Lily Reinhart. I thought this one was okay the first time I read it, but I want to reread it and annotate it because that's what I like to do with my poetry. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I haven't ever really annotated a book, and that might be something that I want to try on my channel. But I do love annotating poems because poems speak to a different part of my soul that it's like, it can mean one thing for you and it can mean one thing for the author, and it can mean something totally different to my best friend. It's not just, oh, this is what happened. It's like, it's about emotion and it's powerful, and I am obsessed with poetry. I want to get more poetry for my collection, so if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments below as you're trashing my TBR. But yeah, I really want to reread this and annotate it, so I'm keeping it. I know I said one at a time, but these hold a lot of nostalgia for me. Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls is actually one of the books that helps get me out of a reading slump. Kind of like The Fifth Wave. And then Hatchet by Gary Paulson is just like, these are classic childhood books that I loved when I was a kid. And Where the Red Fern Grows still helps me in reading slumps. So I'm never going to get rid of these. Like, I can't. I just can't. I won't. Okay. Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. Okay, funny story about this is that I got rid of this one. Okay, I like this. I recommend it. But the movie's better, so just watch the movie. The movie's a really good adaptation. So if you don't want to read this big, huge, floppy paperback, which I love floppy paperbacks, but if you don't want to read that, just watch the movie. It was a really good movie. I read this. I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. But I unhauled it because I didn't see myself rereading it. Then I found it at the thrift store and I bought it again. I really don't see myself rereading. I'm not ready to give this one up yet. I'm not there yet. I want to have a collection of 1,000 books, and if I'm unhauling all the maybe books, then I'm never going to reach that point in my life. So, we'll just keep it. There's 10 by Gretchen McNeil. 10 Teens, 3 Days, 1 Killer. I'm keeping it. It was it was a fun young adult slasher book. I love slashers, so the cheesier, the better for me. So if that's your kind of horror, maybe try that one. Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. This one's a weird horror. It's also like a very short novella, and I loved it. So I will be keeping that. 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I liked this. I recommend it. However, it doesn't hit the same way that A Good Girl's Guide to Murder hits. I'm going to be unhauling this. I even surprised myself. Then there's After the Death of Anna Gonzalez by Terry Fields. Again, this poetry from different perspectives. After the Death of Anna Gonzalez. I want to reread this and annotate it. So I will be keeping that one. My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is my favorite Grady Hendrix. It's got like the 80s VHS vibes. And it was like a mix of paranormal, like exorcism. The Exorcist mixed with like slasher. Kinda. It was great. I love it. It's the only Grady Hendrix that I have liked, though. Then there's Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I just got this to add to my collection because I loved that book. It's creepy. It's middle grade. I don't know. Maybe it's too scary to read to my second graders around October. I don't know. Envelope Poems by Emily Dickinson. I'm keeping along with the collected poems of Emily Dickinson. I will never get rid of those. Then there's Clan in Cornfield by Adam Caesar. I read the second one in this series now. I think this works better as a standalone, and I will be keeping it. And our last one on this top shelf is, my little bookend. But the last one on that shelf is The Companion by Katie Allender. This was a spooky young adult book about Margaret, who is an orphan, and she gets picked by this wealthy family to come live with them, foster her, maybe potentially adopt her, but things are not what they seem. Love this, 5 out of 5 stars. So I'm keeping it. These are adult novels. Although I see one that's more like a new adult, but that's okay. And then nonfiction will be up after this. There's The Chain by Adrienne McKinney. I've heard really bad things about this book, but I personally loved it. It's about Kylie who gets kidnapped, and her mom has to give a ransom and kidnap the next child in the chain in order to get her daughter back. Makeup Breakup by Lily Menon. This is kind of like Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. That kind of situation where I owned it read it, give it like, I think this one was 4 stars as well. It was good, but if I'm thinking about it, I'm not going to reread it. But I enjoyed it at the time. This one I'm going to unhaul though. And I'm not going to buy it again. Don't let me buy it again. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Amazing thriller. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. Will be keeping it. The Last to Vanish by Megan Miranda. I feel like usually I give Megan Miranda 3 stars, and like usually her books are just like comforting, even if I don't always love them. And to be honest with you, this is a little bit forgettable. I remember it takes place at like this resort. You know, I'm gonna unhaul this one because I don't own any of her other books, just because they're like fine reads, and for some reason I still call her writing comforting, but they're not like the best of the best, and that's all that I want on my shelf. Least Read by Ian Reid is definitely a keeper. Absolutely loved that book. After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I will be keeping for sure The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager and Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. So, okay, I've kept The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, even though I have a hardback edition that I like better. But I've kept this mostly because my friend bought it for me, and it says, "Let's Buddy read this sometime soon. Merry Christmas from Amanda." And Amanda is one of my best friends. Oh man, I know I'm just being sentimental and that I probably don't need 2 copies of The Last Time I Lied, but I'm going to keep it mainly because my friend bought it for me. Now, Lock Every Door came in this mystery, Barnes & Noble mystery book, blind date with a book type thing, and I was going to do a vlog. I don't think that I vlogged it. I remember vlogging it, but I don't think it's up, and I don't think I have the footage anymore. I love this book. However, I do have a hardback edition, and I don't need 2 copies of this book, and this has no sentimental value to me, so I will be unhauling that one as well. The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This is my favorite Simone St. James book. I also want to get her hotel book about the haunted hotel. I don't remember what it's called, but I do want to read more of her books and get more of them for my collection. The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon is like a twist on fake dating, only they're pretending to be exes, and through that they fall in love for this radio show, and it was really cute. So if you couldn't tell, I'm going to be keeping that one as well. See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Ooh. So I liked this one because you follow Barrett, who keeps reliving the first day of college because everything goes wrong for her, and she eventually has to figure out how to get out of that time loop, which I love. I wasn't a huge fan of the romance in here though, because it is like a new adult, and I'm gonna unhaul this one. It did make me feel really good when I read it, and I would still recommend it, but I don't need it on my shelf. Then there's The Help by Catherine Stockett. This is a historical fiction, and I'm going to keep it. I did really like The Help too. I do think that the movie of it is really good. Like, it's a good representation. I personally like the book slightly more. but it's a good adaptation. You know, sometimes the adaptation isn't that good. Then there's The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. Keeping this. For sure. Keeping it. Because that's such an amazing book. Do You Take This Man by Denise Williams. So at the time when I read this, I did enjoy it. I think I ended up giving it 4 stars, 3 or 4 stars. And it is a good book. And I do recommend it. But I'm going to unhaul it. I don't need it on my shelf. I'm never going to reread it. And the more romance I read, the more this feels like average to me. And kind of forgettable. Ouch. The Accidental Beauty Queen by Terry Wilson. I'll link a vlog of me reading this book. I'm gonna keep it though. The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I mean, you guys already know that it's staying. An Anonymous Girl by Gary Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. Oh, am I ever gonna reread it though? I'm still gonna keep it for right now. I do recommend it and I do like it. The Wife Between Us by Gary Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I'm going to keep this one because it is my favorite Sarah Pekkanen and Gary Hendricks book. Perfect. There is A Dog's Purpose, which we'll be keeping. I want to finish that entire series and buy the last book. Then I have The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page, along with The Monarchs. This is an art copy, though. I would really like to get a finished hardback copy at some point, but I will be keeping this because that is my favorite duology of all time. I don't read a lot of series, though. I'm going to keep The Honest Life and Pretty Happy, just because I marked some things that I want to go back to, and they just, like, how to live organically or happily, and they're very self-helpy, so I don't really recommend them, but they do have some nice tips and tricks in there, so I don't know, I guess it's up to you. I think I only give them like 3 stars. Oh, wait, no, they're nonfiction. I don't rate them. Then there's Know My Name by Chanel Miller. That is for sure going to be in my favorites. Yes, Please by Amy Poehler. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. The Girl with the Lower Back Tattoo by Amy Schwimmer. I will be keeping. And The Killer Across the Table by John Douglas and Mark Wolshacker. I will be keeping. These are all going to be unhauled later. Imperfect Justice, Prosecuting Casey Anthony. Okay, so I was really excited for this book because I followed the case really closely when it happened. Basically, Casey Anthony was acquitted of killing her daughter. And some speculate that she did it. With the evidence that I had seen, like, I really thought she was guilty too. But she was acquitted. And this is, like, the whole case up against Casey Anthony. I think, generally speaking, that means a lot. I think, generally speaking, I want my true crime stuff to... I prefer, like, podcasts and videos and even documentaries about true crime. I prefer that media over books. And that kind of came to me recently, and I'm like, you know, I don't really like reading the true crime cases. I like to I don't know why that is, but I like the audiobooks or the podcasts or documentaries type of thing. So I'm going to prefer my media of true crime in a different format. So I'm probably going to get rid of most of my true crime books. Yeah, sorry. Which is Hello Charlie, Letters from a Serial Killer. Now, let me see if this is actually letter format. No, it looks more like a novel. So, let's see. Yeah, so this one I'm also going to unhaul. Like I said, I buy a lot of true crime books, but then they just sit on my shelf and I never want to read them. Like I said, I prefer other formats of media for my true crime consumption. So, that's okay. I don't have to read that. Unbelievable by T. Christian Miller and Ken Armstrong. This is one that I already know quite a bit about because it happened in my neck of the woods in like Seattle. And I've never been to Seattle, but I lived a few hours from Seattle, Washington. And this was a really horrific case that actually sickened me when I first heard about it. So I know I just got done saying that I'm not going to keep true crime, but this true crime I am going to save. There is also a Netflix like miniseries by the same name about the same thing. I do want to read the book and then watch the miniseries and compare them. I'm gonna, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say right here. Then there's The Babysitter, My Summer with a Serial Killer by Lisa Rodman and Jennifer Jordan. You know what? I'm going to put this one in the maybe pile. Yeah, we're going to do maybe because I think that I did start that one and that I was liking the writing, but we'll see. There's The Hospital by Brian Alexander. Life, Death, and Dollars in a Small American Town. Again, that one's not true crime, but I am gonna try a chapter of it. Then there's Slanted, How the News Media Taught Us to Love Censorship and Hate Journalism. I'm gonna keep that one because I love learning about journalism and things like that. This is Steal Like an Artist by Austin Cologne. I'm gonna unhaul that one. It's like literally 100 pages and there's not, okay, it's over 100, but there's not a lot of like words. There's like 3 words on 2 pages, then there's like a paragraph, then a couple paragraphs, and if I haven't read it in this long, the truth is that I'm never going to. So we're just going to unhaul it. Sickened, The True Story of a Lost Childhood by Julie Gregory. This one that I'm still super, invested in, and it's one that I really want to read. I just know that it's going to tear my heart out. So it has to be at a time when I'm I can dedicate the time for it, even though she's shorter. I want to be able to dedicate the time to reading it, and I just know I'm going to be a mess. So I'm going to wait on that one, but I'm going to read it. Blackout, Remembering the Things I Drank to Forget by Sarah Hepola. I'm sorry I mispronounced that. I will be keeping that one. Born, A Crime by Trevor Noah. I will be keeping. Educated by Tara Westover. I've tried to read this a few times. I'm going to unhaul it. I just wasn't jiving with the writing. that's okay. Serial killer timelines. I'm going to unhaul that one too. I don't need it. If You Tell by Greg Olson, a true story of murder, family secrets. Like I said, I don't need the books of true crime. The Creation of a Serial Killer by Jack Olson will be unhauled. These two animal books. So the I-5 Killer is one that I know a lot about though. So like, you know what? I'm just gonna unhaul them. I just don't want true crime on my shelf anymore. Generally speaking, there might be exceptions to that rule. There's exceptions to every rule. But that is all the books on the shelf. I know it looks like there's more, but those are the books that I've read this month. So I need to do a wrap up for it. And then some of the books from my newest haul are kind of smudging over into that. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit and get like unhauling, maybe keeping all in different parts of the room. And it'll be a lot more organized for our next round of this game, which will be this big shelf back here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and like trash my TBR in the comments below. I would appreciate that so much. I will see you guys tomorrow probably with the next installment of this video. Bye! I'll see you guys later.